All right. The purpose of this video is to test all of these noise shells against one another. I'm not going to do it the traditional way of shooting each one off individually, pointing the camera at them and saying, oh, that one was loud, that one was louder, because that's all subjective. So we're going to take that out of it. I took all of the lift charges out of every single one, and they are going to be put on a metal stand about 50 yards away, which is 150 feet. Consumer 1.75 shells usually go about 120 feet, so I'm going to do the testing at about 150 feet. We're going to take the variable of height out of it, and we're going to actually test how noisy they are with a decibel meter. We have everything from the small ball shells all the way to the big 6-inch noise shells like the Anarchy 6s. From left to right, we have Cherry Blasters, Dragon Ball Z, Hong Kong Harries, Thunder Dogs, All Rise, Dragon Black Box artillery shells, the zombie minions that are actually fake ball shells or canister shells, same with the donkey balls next to that. The gold wrap there, it's going to be Weapons of War, Horn Dog, Apocalypse, It's It, Zombies Revenge, Superman. I was told those are noise. I haven't checked them yet, so it might not be, but we'll see. Next to that in the blue is going to be the Sub-Zero cans. Next to that with the Rambos, the Dark Sides, and the 6-inch Anarchies. I'm not going to do the 6-inch Column Killers and some of the other ones because they're all kind of the same. So this is kind of a good variable lineup of all the shells we're going to test. But like I said, it's going to be on a testing station suspended in the air at the same height, and we're going to test it all with a decibel meter and remote detonate everything. So we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so I just thought I'd show how I'm gonna actually do this test and what the stand looks like. It's an old shooting stand for steel targets, so we're just gonna be using it like this, wired up. I've already done the test. Worked great, didn't fall apart or anything, so that's what it's gonna look like. All right, shell number 1 is gonna be Cherry Blaster. .3. Next shell is going to be Dragon Ball Z. .102 even. And our next shell is the Hong Kong Harry. .107.7. And the next shell is going to be the Thunder Dogs. .101.7. And up next is going to be the All Rise ball shell. .99.1. And next up we have the Dragon Black Box artillery. .105 even. Next one up is going to be the zombie minion fake ball shells. .99.4. And now we have the donkey balls, pretty much the same as the zombie minions. .99.4, same exact as the zombie minion. And now we're getting into the canister shells, so this is going to be the Weapons of War. .105.4. And now another canister shell. It's going to be Horn Dog. .106.7. And next up is the new Apocalypse shell. 107.1. And lucky number 13 is going to be It's It. 107.5. And the next one up is Zombie Revenge. 102.4. Okay, next up is going to be the Superman shells. 101.2. And next up is the Sub-Zero can. 100.1. And now for one of the champions, the Rambo. 108.2. And next up is going to be a Dark Side. 'And that one was 107.3. And next up is going to be the Anarchy Black 6-inch. 'That one hit real hard, but it was only 107.8. And as a little bonus, we're going to do a Master 120. 101.2.
Alright, so here's a chart of all the shells that we just did so you can kind of get a visual representation of how they all landed. You have to remember that this is my setup, my decibel meter, my environment, because you'll see on other YouTube channels of somebody measuring color shells, for example, at 113, 114 decibels, and they probably got that, but they're using a different decibel meter, different environment. So take it all with a grain of salt. This is just how it panned out for me and how it worked out for me with my setup. So um, you also have to remember with decibels that they're exponentially louder. So 0 to 10 decibels is actually 10 times louder. 10 to 20 decibels is 10 times louder. But if you go from 0 to 20 decibels, that's actually 100 times louder. So you're doing 10 times 10 there because it's going up by 20. So it's kind of crazy to think that way. So if you look at the Cherry Blaster at 91.3 and then go all the way up to something that's like comparative, the Thunderdogs, for example, at 101.7, the Thunderdogs are going to be technically 10 times louder. It's hard to kind of hear that for yourself, but that's how decibels work, which is kind of insane. So 108.2 to 107.8 is actually a pretty large increase when it comes to actual measuring decibels. But with all that aside, looking at the chart, something that kind of stuck out was the Hong Kong Harriers at 107.7. I did not think they were going to make it that high because they're just a typical ball shell, but they're made very well, so I guess it's not too crazy. But if you look at the chart, all the other kind of ball shells and smaller shells are kind of towards the bottom. The ones that kind of stuck out to me were the Anarchy Black 6-inch. They felt the loudest with that initial thump that comes. So I always thought the Rambos had that big thump, but the Anarchy Blacks are actually pretty heavy when it comes to that kind of thing. The Dark Sides fallen down there a little bit at 107.3. Those are the 2.0 versions with the plastic tops and not the cardboard tops. I think they're 2022s, possibly 2023s. But yeah, take a look at the chart. You can kind of see where everything landed. The Master 120s that I giggled in the video is because I did not think the break was going to be that big because I was about 150 feet away and I had some of the stars whiz past me. So not exactly the safest, but it kind of surprised me. And they were pretty loud at 101.2. So I guess everybody can kind of look at this and see where they land and kind of see how they are. And this isn't definite proof of one being better than the other. It's just kind of a one example. It's not really scientific because I didn't do an average of a whole bunch of shells or anything. It's just gets really expensive when you do that with this many shells. So like I said, take it all with a grain of salt. But you know, I appreciate you watching the video, and it was kind of a little fun experiment to do.